The 2025 ABB Formula World Championship season has concluded with Nissan's Oliver Rowland as the World Drivers' Champion, and Porsche claimed the teams and manufacturers titles. But there's a question of what if, especially with only 16 races, Oliver Rowland and Nick Cassidy ended the season tied in wins at 4 apiece. Three straight wins to close out the season for Cassidy, and he also got second place in the driver's standings to end his tenure with Jaguar. Joe, most of the year we were wondering what on earth is wrong with Nick Cassidy. I know Matthew talked a little bit about that in his shining moment. Like we were wondering, like since Nick Cassidy, went off track last year at Portland, he's just been on like a free fall. Makes you wonder, like in that moment, did he completely lose his confidence to get the job done behind the wheel? But since winning race 2 in Shanghai, he ended the year on an absolute tear. And given how strong he looked, especially in those final 3 races, it makes you wonder, why on earth are you leaving Jaguar? It seemed like everything was, seemed to be going well with the driver, the package Jaguar had, that everything was just clicking on all cylinders. And this is not the first time we've seen this in motorsports. We've seen this, where a driver announces he's leaving a team. You think, oh, this is a lame duck year. The end of the year is going to, just trying to get through it and then move on to the next thing. But we've seen time and time again in other series when, lame duck year, you think, but no, they come out and then they ended on a very strong note, the partnership between both driver and team. And that's exactly what Nick Cassidy did, but going out on a high with Jaguar. And also, as we mentioned, the team principal, James Barkley's leaving as well. So Jaguar is going to have new leadership next season as Barkley takes over McLaren's hypercar program in the FIA World Endurance Championship. So, Joe, is Nick Cassidy the top free agent on the market right now in Formula E silly season on Hungary tonight? We mentioned the Racer.com report that he's the lead candidate to go to either DS Penske or Maserati.
Yeah, he is easily the number one free agent when it comes to Formula E. And I think once you see him signed up with a team, that's when the other pieces are going to fall in place for the next season. But as you mentioned, Kobe, what Nick Cassidy has been able to do with the Jaguar team, and in fact, what Jaguar has been able to do since Nick Cassidy's win at Shanghai race number 2. Then you go to Jakarta. Okay, Dan Ticktum got that win with the Cupra. But then Berlin, Mitch Evans, Nick Cassidy, Nick Cassidy, Nick Cassidy. Suddenly, Jaguar was back. At the beginning of the year, we were talking about how when Mitch Evans won that race, the first race with Jaguar, that this was a good sign that Jaguar, if they start the season strong and stay strong all year, they could get the wins because it just seems for so many years they start off poorly and then they come back towards the end. Here we go again. Come back strong towards the end, but for Nick Cassidy, it was too little, too late. I think by the time we got to Shanghai, I think there was already rumors that he was on his way out. I know as we were talking throughout the season, as they were just on this free fall, what was James doing as a team principal role? He's already on his way out. I just sort of wonder, Kobe, if maybe the fact that, okay, no pressure, the championship's out of the picture, let's just go out there, have a good time, just do the best we can, was just sort of a sense of ease or something where all of a sudden they were able to perform because what they did for Jaguar to win the last 4 races and really 5 out of the last 6 races, that was something really good. If they just had that factor of we could go out there and win races, be in podium contentions, not have the bad looks. I mean, Nick Cassidy, 15th, 12th, 11th, so first 3 races, no points. 5th place in Jeddah in the second race, but then 15th, 18th again. You're not going to win a championship that way. If this Jaguar team next year with the new leadership, whoever's going to replace Nick Cassidy, if Mitch Evans still there, if they could come out strong, stay strong, they got a good shot. Nick Cassidy, if I was him, I'd probably lean more towards Maserati more than DS Penske, but let's see how this DS Penske keeps performing. But yes, Nick Cassidy is the number one free agent. It seems like finally that slump after the Portland last year, he seems to have finally gotten rid of that.
Yeah, and there's no better way to go out than going out on top, in which he did with Jaguar. And it's certainly going to be interesting to see which team that he's going to join, whether it's DS Penske or Maserati. But I have to agree with you, Joe. I think Maserati will definitely be a better option than DS Penske at this point. But I wonder, considering how strong Jaguar ended the season, if they're able to maintain this end of season form heading into next season, and then Nick Cassidy is with one of those teams that not performing as well, and then Jaguars towards the top. It makes you wonder if Nick Cassidy could end up regretting his decision to leave Jaguar. But there's no way for us to know how next season is going to stack up in terms of performance, so we just have to wait and see on that one. But yeah, I think he's definitely put himself at the top of the list of free agents that any team in the paddock would really want to sign because the Nick Cassidy of old is finally back and he's driving as well as he's ever driven in his Formula E career. And next season's Formula E field will drop down again from 22 to 20 cars as McLaren was unable to find a buyer to take over its slot on the grid. The team is set to shut down, and McLaren's final Formula E race today was definitely one to forget with double retirements for both Taylor Barnard and Sam Bird. And next year we'll see the same car and tires used in Formula E. And Joe, looking ahead to next season, which is going to be season 12, is Oliver Rowland an early favorite to win a second championship?
Oliver Rowland, Formula E, he could easily be a two-time champion. It's amazing to say that Formula E has still only one two-time champion, John Eric Verne. I think this Nissan team, the speed they're showing, Oliver Rowland showing what he could do behind the wheel, he is easily one of the favorites. I mean, you look at Porsche, what they did, they claimed the manufacturer team championship. You can't count them out. I think Pascal Wehrlein is going to be very hungry next year. Jaguar has the same old tale. If they can start off strong and be strong all season, they have a shot. Everybody else is sort of up in the air. I mean, it's really going to come down to the drivetrain development. The Jaguar drivetrains are pretty good. I mean, we saw the Envision team get a podium today. You look at them, Ready Global. They did not exactly have that great a year, but they used the Porsche powertrain. And just an unfortunate deal where for Nissan, they were doing the powertrains for McLaren, and McLaren, that team doesn't seem to have a buyer, shutting down to 20 cars in the field next year. Still a healthy field, but overall, I just think almost shows a little bit of maybe Formula E needs to allow the team some more expansion when it comes to development of the car, have identity for the race. And I feel this year for Oliver Rowland was a great driver, put on a great effort all season. And the racing I felt got a little bit better. We saw less of the Peloton style racing. It seemed 2 years ago when Portland was the ultimate Peloton style draft track, pack racing, everybody either loved it or hated. And then last year it seemed like almost every race was Peloton style. And I think it got to the point where people just sort of got tired of it. This year it was a little bit more at the Formula E we anticipated, but Oliver Rowland, consistency, 4 wins early on, that got him the championship. But the question will always remain if there was just even another double header, Nick Cassidy, what could he have done? What could Jaguar have done? But that's just a what if. The facts is the facts. 16 races, and Oliver Rowland is your Formula E champion.
Yeah, I thought Oliver Rowland did a really good job this season to win the championship. I know he went out the end of the year, kind of out on a whimper, with some unfortunate results and all of that, but it still doesn't take away from the strong first half of the season that he had, and then the second half of the season wasn't as strong, but he was able to be as consistent as he possibly could to lock up the championship early, and then able to enjoy his home London E pre-race weekend. And given the fact that you mentioned Joe only had one other multi-time Formula E world champion in history, been Jean-Eric Vergne, given how competitive Formula E is, I think his chances of going back to back next year probably going to be really difficult. But I think we'll probably see another different Formula E champion next season. But if Nissan brings a strong package and Oliver Rowland can do what he did this year and continue to step it up, I don't see why he can't contend for a second championship in a season that, as we both said, Oliver Rowland proved a lot of us wrong, that he can be, that elite driver in Formula E and be one of the main contenders for race wins and championships on a week in, week out basis. So definitely have to tip your hat to what he was able to do this season.